I am going divorce Kourtney. These Kardashians are very cunning, and I can't tolerate them anymore. I like someone else, that's why I want to leave Kourtney. Living with Kourtney made me realize that I don't love her.
Travis Barker is allegedly cheating on Kourtney Kardashian with someone who's barely older than his daughter, Alabama, who is only 19 years old.
Because he is cheating on me with some nasty Who? I don't know. This girl, I saw them. I saw it with my own eyes.
Especially in the beginning of the relationship, I think like missing someone's.
You know, when Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker first got together, the internet lost its mind. It was all black roses, gothic romance, and endless PDA, the kind of love story that makes you either swoon or cringe. There's really no in between. But while everyone was busy romanticizing their every Instagram post, someone was watching from the sidelines with a very different perspective. And that someone was Shauna Moakler, Travis's ex-wife, the mother of 2 of his children, and the woman who lived through what many are now calling a cautionary tale. According to reports, Shauna actually warned Kourtney. She tried to tell her what she was getting into. She allegedly said that Travis had the ability to create absolute chaos if he wanted to. And honestly, that's not the kind of warning you ignore. That's not jealousy talking. That's experience. That's someone who's been through the storm trying to hand you an umbrella before you get drenched. So that raises the central question we're here to explore today. Has Travis Barker really changed? Or are we watching history set itself up to repeat? Because here's the thing, there are growing concerns that what looks like a fairy tale romance on the surface might actually be something much darker underneath. Some people are starting to question whether Kourtney is in a controlling, even toxic relationship. And I know, that sounds dramatic, but when you start looking at the patterns, when you dig into Travis's past, you begin to see why people are worried. We've seen the love bombing. We've seen the constant public displays of affection that feel almost performative. And we've seen Travis's history, a history that makes you wonder if personal change is really possible, or if some people just get better at hiding who they've always been. To understand where we are now, we have to go back, way back, to Travis's previous marriage, to Shauna Moakler, because if you want to know if someone's changed, you have to know who they were before. Travis and Shauna were married for 4 turbulent years. Their relationship officially ended in 2008, but honestly, it sounds like it was unraveling long before that. They have 2 kids together, Landon and Alabama, and those kids, they had front row seats to everything, the fights, the drama, the media circus, because of course, Travis and Shauna didn't just have a private marriage, they had a reality show. Meet the Barkers aired on MTV, and it exposed every crack in their relationship to millions of viewers.
How did you fall in love with this man? Now you're a Miss America, right?
I was a Miss USA in 95.
Okay.
Yes.
How did you guys meet?
He was actually married when I met him, and so we didn't even talk. And then I think a couple weeks later, we got together and
We fell in love like weeks after I got divorced. It was crazy.
What was the first thing you thought when you saw her?
I thought it was fat.
No, I didn't. I thought she was beautiful.
Can you imagine growing up like that? Your parents' worst moments captured on camera, edited for entertainment, replayed over and over. The emotional toll on those kids has been described as traumatic, and it's not hard to see why. Divorce is hard enough. Divorce under the glare of reality TV cameras? That's a whole different level of damaging. The thing about reality TV is that it doesn't just document your life, it changes it. It creates incentives to be more dramatic, more emotional, more volatile. Every argument becomes content. Every tear becomes a moment. And for kids watching their parents navigate that, it's confusing at best, deeply harmful at worst. You start to wonder what's real and what's for the cameras. You lose trust in the authenticity of your own family dynamics. But let's rewind even further. Let's talk about how this relationship even started. Because spoiler alert, it was messy from day one. Travis and Shauna began dating in 2002. They made their first public appearance together at the MTV VMAs, and everyone thought it was this exciting new celebrity couple. But here's the red flag no one seemed to care about at the time. Travis was still legally married to someone else, to his first wife, Melissa Kennedy. Yeah, let that sink in. His divorce from Melissa was finalized shortly after he and Shauna went public, and then just a few months later, Shauna gave birth to their son, Landon. So do the math. Travis was married to one woman while starting a relationship and a family with another. And look, people's relationships are complicated. I get that. But this isn't exactly the foundation you want to build a marriage on, right? This wasn't just about bad timing. This was a pattern of not fully closing one chapter before opening another, of letting relationships overlap in ways that create confusion, hurt, and broken trust. When you start a relationship while you're still legally bound to someone else, you're essentially teaching everyone involved that commitments are flexible, that boundaries are negotiable, that loyalty is conditional. This early pattern of love triangles, overlapping relationships, and very public drama, it planted seeds of distrust that would grow throughout their entire relationship. And honestly, it makes you wonder if Travis was ever the reformed, mature guy people now want to believe he is.
Say to Paris, if you've seen her right now, and she said something like, take your Valtrex or something like that.
That's purely Shayna being jealous of Paris.
Is
there always has been, always will be.
Being jealous right now? Thanks, though.
Fast forward to October 2004. Travis and Shauna got married. The wedding was Nightmare Before Christmas themed, which, okay, kind of on brand for them. Gothic, dramatic, a little dark, but here's the kicker. Their marriage reportedly started falling apart within a year. 1 year. Travis filed for divorce in 2006, just 2 years after they said, I do. And Shauna, she was heartbroken. She poured her emotions out on MySpace, remember MySpace? Writing about how much she wanted to make things work, how she wanted to overcome their challenges for the sake of their kids. She acknowledged that they'd failed, but she was trying to stay strong and focus on Landon and Alabama. Her heartbreak was public, raw, and honestly pretty painful to read about even now. There's something particularly cruel about watching someone process their grief in public like that. Shauna was trying to salvage her dignity while simultaneously falling apart. She was trying to be a good mother while dealing with the humiliation of a very public marriage collapse. And then photos surfaced of Travis kissing Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton. Now, this was the early 2000s, an era defined by absolute celebrity chaos. Paris Hilton, Britney Spears, messy love triangles, paparazzi everywhere. It was a different time.
Stop teaching him that. Movies. Yes.
Movies.
They're called breasts.
Movies.
But still, imagine thinking you're getting back together with your husband, the father of your children, only to see him making out with Paris Hilton in the tabloids. The humiliation, the betrayal, the sheer absurdity of it all. What makes this even worse is the timing. Travis didn't just move on quietly. He did it in the most public, most humiliating way possible. At the Playboy Mansion, with one of the most photographed women in the world. It's almost like he wanted Shauna to see it. Like he wanted maximum impact. Whether that was intentional or just reckless doesn't really matter. The damage was done either way. And here's where it gets even more exhausting. Shauna briefly convinced herself that Travis was committed to making things work. But those Playboy Mansion photos ended any hope of reconciliation, at least temporarily. Because guess what? They got back together again in the spring of 2007. They actually seemed happy for a minute. But by summer, it was over. Again, this became what people have described as a vicious, never-ending cycle. Reunions followed by accusations of betrayal, constant fighting, distrust piled on top of distrust, emotional exhaustion from the never-ending drama. It sounds absolutely draining. At one point, Travis publicly accused Shauna of cheating on him on MySpace, naturally, because this was 2007 and that's how you handled relationship drama back then. Shauna fired back, questioning his mental state, suggesting that his lifestyle choices were affecting his judgment and behavior. And through all of this, their kids were watching. They were living it. The only reason Travis and Shauna even stayed in contact was because they shared custody, which meant Landon and Alabama were constantly exposed to their parents' conflicts, constantly caught in the middle of the emotional warfare. Think about what that does to a child's development. You grow up learning that love means chaos. That commitment means on again, off again.
Have you ever hooked up with Travis Barker?
No, I never have. Absolutely. That I do not mind you asking.
Okay.
I never have. And that really sucks that has gone on. But he dated Paris and we were all friends and we'd all like hang out. And when I was with Paris, we'd be on the road and go to like their tour in Amsterdam. And like, so I have been friends with him, but never like in that way and never hooked up with him.
Did you have any heads up that you were going to be in his memoir, like referenced as the crush?
No.
Okay.
No. But it would say that we never hooked up. I mean, I don't think he would allude to that information, you know? But also Kourtney was around during that time. So like they were neighbors for a decade. So like when everyone was all hanging, like, he was always around with his kids. They'd always come to Kourtney's house for all the birthdays. So it was like everything was super like open and cool and like one's been friends. He was just as good of friends with them as he was with all of us. So was nothing weird.
That trust is something that gets broken and maybe, sometimes, temporarily repaired, only to be broken again. You learn that your parents' emotions are unpredictable, that stability is an illusion, that the people who are supposed to protect you are too busy hurting each other to notice how much it's hurting you. By 2014, things escalated even further. Shauna filed documents in their custody battle, accusing Travis of exposing their kids to harmful influences. She admitted that during their separation, there had been instability, confusion, and inconsistency for Landon and Alabama. She was basically saying, this environment isn't good for them, and then things got scary. Shauna claimed that Travis made a violent threat against her. Travis, in turn, accused Shauna of threatening him. Both of them were detained by police. But here's the thing, no charges were ever filed. Most people believe they avoided pressing charges to protect their kids from even more trauma. But think about how serious it had to be for the police to get involved in the first place. When law enforcement shows up to a custody dispute, when both parents are detained, when threats of violence are being thrown around, that's not normal co-parenting conflict. That's a situation that spiraled completely out of control. And once again, the people who suffer most are Landon and Alabama. They're the ones who have to live with the knowledge that their parents' relationship got so toxic that the police had to intervene. The parenting disputes didn't stop there. Shauna openly opposed Travis's partners being around their children. Meanwhile, Travis criticized Shauna's parenting choices, claiming she wanted the kids to be raised by nannies instead of spending time with them herself, which is kind of ironic considering Alabama appears to be extremely close to her nanny now, closer than she is to her own mother actually. And let's talk about Meet the Barkers again for a second. The reality show aired for 2 seasons on MTV, and years later, Travis claimed it was all Shauna's idea. He said she wanted the attention, that she acted up for the cameras, that the drama was exaggerated for ratings. Viewers who watch the show definitely remember it being over the top, but here's the thing, Travis participated too. He agreed to it. He was there, he signed the contracts, he cashed the checks. So acting like he was some innocent bystander doesn't really hold up. And then there's the bombshell that refuses to die. Shauna claimed that Travis had an affair with Kim Kardashian. Yes, that Kim Kardashian, Kourtney's sister. Kim denied it, saying they were never romantically involved. But the allegation is out there, and it's fueled endless speculation. Whether it's true or not, the fact that Shauna felt the need to say it publicly tells you how deep the mistrust runs. Now, we may never know the full truth about that particular allegation, but what we do know is this: the fact that it's even plausible, the fact that people didn't immediately dismiss it as absurd, tells you something about Travis's track record. When someone has a history of overlapping relationships and questionable loyalty, you lose the benefit of the doubt. Every new accusation becomes possible instead of unthinkable. On a podcast, Shauna didn't hold back. She criticized the Kardashians, saying she essentially stepped away so that her kids could bond together against her. She made it sound like she was the villain in her own children's story, and that the Kardashian machine had something to do with it. And here's the heartbreaking reality. Alabama and Landon are reportedly much closer to Travis than they are to Shauna. There's money involved, fame, a lifestyle most people can only dream of. Travis is now fully integrated into the Kardashian world, and Shauna has accused him of turning the kids against her. Whether that's fair or not, the emotional distance between Shauna and her children, especially Alabama, is undeniable. There's limited public affection, minimal interaction. It's heartbreaking to watch from the outside.
Shayna Moakler is once again speaking up about the fact that Travis Barker is practically recreating their relationship with Kourtney Kardashian. One of the movies that these two had bonded over is True Romance. And it clearly is a special bond that when they had a daughter, they named her Alabama after the main character in the movie. Back in 2021, Kourtney had posted that she and Travis were watching the movie, and Shayna posted this the same day, which is a clip from the movie of the main character Alabama giving the middle finger. She had then made comments that she thought it was weird that Travis Barker was enjoying the movie with Kourtney when she and Travis had bonded over it. Even said that when she and Travis got married, they walked down the aisle to the film's signature song, You're So Cool. Like, that's even more awkward because later that year, that's exactly what Travis and Kourtney dressed up as for Halloween. He even left Kourtney a comment saying, "You're so cool, you're so cool, you're so cool." Fast forward to this year, and Travis and Kourtney dress up as Jack and Sally from A Nightmare Before Christmas, and once again, it's getting weird. Because not only was that the theme to Travis and Shayna's wedding, but when Travis proposed to Shayna, he did so in Disneyland on the Haunted Mansion ride on Christmas Eve, and that part right there is the most important part. Because on Christmas Eve, the ride is transformed to look like The Nightmare Before Christmas. Mind you, in Blink-182's song, I Miss You, there's a line that says, "We can live like Jack and Sally." That is literally a dedication to Shayna Moakler. So it makes you wonder, does Kourtney even know this? Because she liked this comment underneath her Halloween post. She was asked, how do you feel about Kourtney and Travis dressing up as your wedding theme? And she responded saying, "I think the entire relationship, where they completely recreated our relationship, is weird, and I've said that from the beginning, but I was called bitter."
The Kardashian effect is real. We've seen it play out with other people who get pulled into their orbit. There's a level of access, of opportunity, of cultural relevance that's hard to resist, especially for young people. You go from being Travis Barker's kid to being part of the Kardashian extended universe. The followers multiply, the opportunities expand, the lifestyle becomes something most teenagers couldn't even imagine. But at what cost? When you gain the whole world but lose your relationship with your mother, is it really worth it? Think about it from the kid's perspective for a second. They grew up watching the Kardashian empire grow. They saw the glamour, the influence, the endless opportunities, and now their dad is married into that family. Of course that's appealing. Of course that's going to pull them in.
Alabama Barker seemingly responds to her mother's bombshell Dumb Blonde podcast interview. The Dumb Blonde podcast interview with Shayna Moakler just came out the other day, and yesterday Alabama posted this to her story. "Once you stop relying on other individuals, your life will become so much better. Disappointment in others won't exist." And fans believe that this is in response to Shayna Moakler's podcast interview. And in this podcast, Shayna shaded the Kardashians, Travis Barker, and she also spoke about her relationship with her children.
I removed myself so that they couldn't bond with my children over hating me. At the time when Travis got with Kourtney, there was like some parental alienation going on there. When the first came around, they were enamored just as like young kids would be enamored by them and glitter and fame, and they watched them on TV, and now their dad's dating one and they're going to be on the show, and and I think they got caught up in that, which young kids would do, buying them Prada, and they're buying them gifts, and they're going to these events, and they're meeting Kanye, and they're all this big stuff, and I can't give them that. I don't have that. I don't have access to that. I don't have the money to do that. I can't buy you guys Prada every other week and stuff. I can't do it. And my house isn't a mansion like Travis. I don't have a movie theater. I don't have golf carts for your kids to drive around.
He's fun dad.
Yeah, he's everything.
It is ironic that Shayna is blaming the Kardashians for her estranged relationship with her children, because just a year ago she was saying this.
My children are my first priority, and that's one thing that Travis and I do agree on. The Kardashians are good to my kids. That's all that matters to me as a mom.
And despite Shayna's insistence that the Kardashians are to blame for the rift, both Landon and Alabama have previously hinted that she hasn't always been the best mother to them. Landon even described her as an absent parent.
But for Shauna, it's devastating. She's watching her children be swept up in a world she's no longer part of, and there's not much she can do about it. It's like watching your kids choose the fun parent, except the fun parent has unlimited resources, a global platform, and the backing of one of the most powerful families in entertainment. How do you compete with that? How do you remind your children that love isn't about Instagram followers and red carpet events, that authenticity matters more than access, that the parent who sets boundaries and says no sometimes might actually be the one who loves you most? You probably can't, and that's what makes Shauna's situation so tragic. Here's something Shauna and Travis actually agree on. Fame destroyed their relationship. They've both admitted that reality TV amplified everything: the ego, the vanity, the conflict.
Shanna has never been a huge fan of her ex-husband, moving on with the Kardashian, and while she's been quiet for a bit, she's back to throwing shade. Shanna recently posted this photo on her Instagram, and the comment section is where things get shady. First, Shanna liked this comment from a fan saying she hopes one day her daughter apologizes for alienating her and embracing Kourtney. In addition to that, Shanna also responded to a comment from someone pointing out that Kourtney now calls herself a mother of 6 to include her stepchildren. To this, Shanna responded saying, "She posts more of my kids than her own, LOL." I don't know how many of us are laughing out loud after that cringy shade, but okay, go off, Shanna.
Shauna has explicitly stated that Meet the Barkers destroyed their marriage, and Travis, to his credit, has said similar things. He's talked about how damaging reality TV can be, how it messes with your mental health, how it distorts your sense of reality. So here's the irony that nobody seems to be talking about. Travis is back on reality TV. He's fully involved with the Kardashians, who are basically the royal family of reality television. He knows what it does to relationships. He's lived it. He's spoken about it. And yet, here he is again. It's one thing to make a mistake once. It's human. But to make the same mistake twice, especially after publicly acknowledging how destructive it was the first time, that's a choice. That's a pattern. That's someone telling you exactly who they are, and we should probably listen. Which brings us back to Kourtney. Travis knowingly re-entered the reality TV spotlight. He walked back into the exact environment he once warned people about. And that raises some pretty serious doubts about whether he's actually learned anything from his past, or if he's just repeating the same patterns with a different person. Maybe he thinks it'll be different this time. Maybe he believes the Kardashians are more equipped to handle the pressure than Shauna was. Maybe he's convinced himself that he's older now, wiser, more in control. Or maybe, and this is what concerns a lot of people, maybe he hasn't changed at all.
Switch positions. Like I have to do what you do all day, and you have to do what I do all day. I would love to hear the words, "I'm really, really tired," out of your mouth. It would be hard for me to sit in that room all day and sleep, and it wouldn't be to do anything that you would give me. That would be the hardest thing for me to do. I couldn't do. Honey, I would die for that opportunity.
I would kick ass, okay? I grew up, all my summers and weekends on a farm.
Hey, it doesn't matter what you did when you grew up. When you were little, you're not little anymore. You're 29 years old. What you do right now.
That's right. I also worked on a set from 5 in the morning. I worked 16-hour days.
When we were young. That was when you were 21 or 22. Okay.
So?
You're 29 now.
So?
The last couple of years, you haven't had that hectic schedule. It would be hard to get on any kind of schedule like that.
Not before Landon.
Well, not before Landon, but lately.
I would kill it. I would do so good.
Oh, God, I can't wait, honey. I cannot wait till you have one job where you have to be there 8 hours a day. Half of what I do.
Are you kidding, Travis? When I work like
Honey, I haven't been there yet. I can't wait. I'm saying, like, now that we're together, you're about to work, I can't wait till you're gone for 15-hour days, 10-hour days. I just want to see what you're like when you come home. Because we know I leave at 8 or 9 in the morning.
You're gonna miss me.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Okay, I'll do the film shoot tomorrow and you can take care of the kids. How's that?
I cannot wait.
Maybe the chaos is what he's comfortable with. Maybe the drama is what he knows.
What makes you want to do a reality show?
Well, at the time, it was so real. Like, having a reality show meant like there was like 50 cameras in our house.
It was different then.
Yeah, and there was like camera crews living with us. It was a trip. Like, they had their own parking lot, but it was an empty lot.
Wow.
And these people would wake up and I'd be cooking breakfast and be in my boxers and there's some dude with a camera. It was so crazy. So it was so real that I didn't feel any type of way. It was like what was really going down. It was just cameras documenting it.
For me, like, that's how I got to know who you are as like a celebrity. Yeah, some people, you see the reality show and you're like, oh, I hate that person. It's their real them. But for me, I just love not your character, but who you were on that show. It's really you, but I love that. So some reality shows people should not do. You work there, really appreciate it.
Maybe he's just found someone new who's willing to participate in the same destructive cycle. So the question remains, will Kourtney's story end differently? Or are we watching the same movie with a new cast? Only time will tell. But if history has taught us anything, it's that people don't usually change as much as we'd like to believe. And when someone shows you who they are, especially over and over again, maybe it's time to start paying attention. Because Shauna tried to warn us. She lived through it. She lost her marriage, her relationship with her kids, and years of her life to the chaos that seems to follow Travis wherever he goes. And now she's watching from the outside as someone else steps into the role she once played. Let's just hope, for Kourtney's sake, that this time really is different. But hope isn't a strategy. And love, no matter how gothic and Instagram perfect it looks, can't change someone who doesn't want to change.